Yo, what's up beautiful people of YouTube? Welcome to Dom's Media Zone. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to adjust your settings for the Canon 90D camera so that you can record a video such as this one indoors. So if you're interested in recording a video for YouTube where you're facing the camera like I am right now, I'll show you the best settings to use on your Canon 90D. Now, I'm sure some of these settings will be very similar on other Canon cameras. There might be a difference, for example, in recording the resolution like 4K or 1080p. So I'm sure you can still apply most of these settings to different Canon cameras. So if this is something that's of interest to you, stay tuned and enjoy this video. Hi everyone, so in today's video I'm going to show you the best settings that I use on the Canon 90D to record camera facing videos with. So these are videos where you sit in front of the camera in your house or in a studio or somewhere indoors and you need really good settings to let in the most amount of light and you want to record your video facing the camera. Now these settings can work on other cameras. I'm using the Canon 90D, but I'm sure the other Canon cameras have similar settings. They might not have the 4K mode setting, but you can always set it to the highest available mode on your camera. So without further ado, let's get started. So the first thing you want to do on this dial on top here, make sure your camera's in manual mode. Manual mode is represented by the M icon on this dial here. So set your camera to manual mode and then go ahead and switch your camera on over here. Once your camera's on, you want to make sure that the video recording mode is selected. So that's this little switch on top here. You've got the photo mode and you want to be in the video recording mode, which is the red icon. Once you're in the video recording mode, we're going to be using this Q button to access the different settings. So let's go ahead and start. So we're going to press Q. And the first setting that we want to select is the autofocus method. So if you just go to the sides here, you can see all the available focusing methods. I'm going to use the face tracking. So Canon 90D is really good at tracking your face and focusing on your face. So go ahead and select face tracking for the first option. Now the second setting that we want to set is this camera quality and frame rate. So over here, you want to go ahead and find your 4K mode, 24 frames per second. If your camera doesn't have 4K, choose the nearest, highest available one. Now go ahead and select 4K, 24 frames per second. It might say something like 23.98, which is basically 24 frames per second. Now that we've adjusted our resolution, let's go ahead and go to the next setting, which is the image stabilizer. So over here, if you're using a tripod, feel free to switch this to off because you don't need a stabilization with using a tripod, but you could leave it to enabled. This reduces motion blur caused by camera shakes when recording movies. So in case your tripod gets a little shaky or something happens, you could have this enabled. I usually leave this to enabled. So on my image stabilizer, I choose Movie Digital IS and I select that. The next setting that's available is the audio recording level. Now, if you're using an external microphone, you might want to turn this down and let the external microphone take care of that. I'm using the Rode Go 2, for example, so I usually turn this all the way down. But if you are using the Canon built-in microphone, you might want to have this at around 12. So now we're going to go down. This is the volume to your headphones, which I'm not going to go through right now. And then next setting you want to go to is your white balance. So if you are using a light to shine on your face, like an external light, there's usually some kind of indicator on the light that tells you the temperature of the light, or you can set the temperature yourself. I usually use lights that are set between 5000 Kelvin and 5500. So what I would go and do here is click this button on top here to get into the color temperature. And then I would change this to match my light output. So if I'm using a light that's 5500, I would set that to 5500 and then click set. And that's your white balance. If you're unsure what your light is, or if you're just in natural sunlight, or you've got some natural light coming into your room and you don't want to change that manually, just leave it on auto mode. It works quite well as well. So for now, I'm just going to leave it at auto. Alright, the next available setting is our picture style. I usually leave this at standard, but for camera facing videos, you could get away with portrait mode. This says it's ideal for close-ups of people and smooths your skin tone and hair. I don't usually do that. I just leave it at standard, but portrait mode will work really well also. The next setting is the auto lighting optimizer. I usually just leave that at off. The next setting that you want to adjust in the bottom left corner here is the shutter speed. So the rule that usually applies is to double your frame rate. So if we've got a frame rate of 24, we want to set this to 1/50, which is nearly double our frame rate 2 times 24 is 48, so 50 is the closest. So I'm going to go ahead and select that and bring this down to 1/50. Go ahead and set that to 1/50. The next setting is the lens aperture over here. So normally I go down as far as the lens will let me. So each lens will have a different minimum f-stop. So this one is the 10 to 18 millimeter lens that we've got put onto this camera. So the smallest f-stop I can select is f4.5. But there are different lenses out there that let you decrease the f-stop to a much more smaller number. So go as low as you can on the f-stop. And then over here, the ISO, I usually leave the ISO setting at automatic. So go ahead and if you want to click the ISO and make sure it's set to auto. And those are all the settings that I use when I record my camera facing videos. Now I'm going to show you one more thing. So once you've set up everything, if you had to switch the camera off right now, those settings would clear and then you'd have to set those settings up again. So in order to prevent that from happening, we're going to program these settings onto our C1 mode. So on the Canon 90D, you have something called the C1 and C2, which are your custom modes. So let's set that to remember our settings. So press menu on your camera and then go to the 4th tab, which is the yellow tab over here. Now, when you're in the yellow tab, which is the setup tab, you can go ahead and scroll till you find the 5th page has something called custom shooting mode C1 and C2. When you find that option, select set, and then you want to select register settings again. So select register settings and then you choose, do you want to save your settings onto C1 or C2? I'm going to go ahead and choose C1. So now it's going to ask you register camera settings to custom shooting mode C1. Yes, okay, just say okay over here and press set. As you saw there, it was busy saving the settings and now our settings are registered. So if we had to put the camera off now, and then on top, I'm going to change from manual to setting C1 because we want to use our C1 setting that we've saved. And if I put the camera back on, you'll notice that all our settings are there. So the autofocus is set to face. There's a 4K mode. The image stabilization is enabled. We've got our auto white balance, our standard profile. Our shutter speed is 1/50. Our f-stop is the minimum that it can go to. And our ISO settings are set to auto. So I find these are the best settings to use for camera facing videos and indoor style videos. If you feel there's anything I missed, please do leave your comments in the comment section below and I'll try to get back to you. Thanks for watching and I hope this helps you out. Thank you for watching YouTube. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it helps you out. If it did, do consider hitting the subscribe button and giving me a like so that I know that these videos help you out. Do have a fantastic remainder of your day. Stay safe and take care. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.